So I thought I'd come on here and explain why I'm swimming again. So for everyone watching, you're probably wondering why you're here, and especially maybe why I'm here. Well, I thought it was about time that I answered this question, why am I swimming, to my very minimal following of people who already know me on a personal level, and to provide you with some sort of direction for what this is and why I started documenting this journey, so that you don't just expect, drinking and unemployment every day, which is unironically who I used to be. I mean, the unemployment part's still very much a big part, but obviously the things I've posted in the past are me playing a character based off, someone I used to be. Frequent drinker is not me anymore. Unemployed is someone I still am. No direction in life is someone I still am. And struggling at university, yeah, it's getting a bit better. So I've actually quit drinking now for almost 4 months, and I have no intention of ever drinking again, to be honest. So yeah, the whole page is a bit of a parody. I thought it'd be kind of funny to lead into that. So 6 years ago, I quit swimming, and I had swum since I was 3 years old, competitively since I was about 8. But when I hung it up in 2019, I left the sport absolutely hating it. I didn't, for years I couldn't even get back in a pool recreationally. So I'm a pretty small guy, 5'10", about 67 kilos now. And all my life I was compared to swimmers who had made it. It's very natural. The swimmers who had taken it all the way. And I was told I could never be them. That there was a limit on my potential because of my height, my build, flexibility, all those things. And it's 100% true. There's nothing special about me. And I was never anything special back then. I was a very average age group swimmer, maybe below average. I blended into the masses very much, and I had no real promising talent. But I guess this journey takes a lot of inspiration from new training methods pioneered by Cameron McAvoy, the current reigning 50-meter freestyle Olympic champion, the team at Aquatic Sport Performance, and so many others as well. Before I go any further, I have to say that Cameron McAvoy is one of the most talented people on the planet, both physically and intellectually. And in no way am I him in any way, but I think his philosophies are what I really am inspired by. Not that I'm targeting the 50 sprints specifically the way he is either, but both these, Cam McAvoy and Aquatic Sport Performance, have demonstrated that you don't have to follow the commonly accepted training philosophies to see results. It's important to experiment, to learn, to grow, and to innovate, and to find what works for you, not just in swimming, but in life. Because in turn, a happy person is a happy swimmer and a fast swimmer. So I hope that this account acts at least as a repository for myself to look back on later in my life. It doesn't have to do anything. But also maybe for people to try, or at least see the things that I'm doing. Not that I'm an expert in any way, might I add, but I think it'd just be a cool thing to document, both the wins and the failures, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot more failures than wins. So to sum it all up, this is just one big experiment. And I think it's important that when you embark on these sorts of journeys, one that is completely experimental, that you document everything, the good and the bad. And I very much welcome everything that comes with this journey. So I'm coaching myself from here until January 2026, and I'm no expert, like I've said, so it could just be a complete disaster. But I'm going to share exactly what I'm doing every step of the way, and hopefully this journey will show people that, if I can do it, just an average guy really, so can anyone. So what are the goals here for myself personally? Hopefully I can get myself into some sort of shape come 2026 and find a coach, join a club. But I actually need to prove that I can get into some sort of shape and be competitive. So that's what this back quarter of the year is for, these next 3 months. The Commonwealth Games trials are in Sydney next year, and I hope to be there. I've dropped myself down about 6 kilograms now, where I started about 72 kilos, 73 kilos, and now I'm about 67. And I hope to bulk myself back up pretty lean to 72 to 75 kilos, which is heavier than I've ever been. But though I will be documenting my swimming journey, I don't want to really be known as a swimmer. I think it's more of a journey of self-development. I'm not a swimmer, I'm just a guy trying to be better, who just happens to be swimming. I really do need this because, life's been pretty disappointing up until now. And this challenge is something I really need to put myself through. And it's something that if I never do it with my life, I will always wonder. You know, it's tough to say and tough to share this, but I feel like I've disappointed everyone who's ever loved me in my life with all the choices that I've made. Most of all, myself. And what I do next may also disappoint them, but I know that if I don't do this, supreme of all, the person I will disappoint is myself. And if the cost of self-fulfillment is the disappointment of all who love me, then that's the price I have to be willing to pay. People ask me, do you want to make the Olympic Games? And that would be a pipe dream, right? But I don't think it's about that. I've fallen in love with this process again. That feeling of every day just being able to glide over the water effortlessly. And chasing that is actually enough for me. I just want to take this as far as I can and not, die with any regrets. Because to be honest, this has been the most lost I've ever been in my whole life. And most of my life post-high school has already been pretty directionless. So I think I really need this goal. I really need this, even if it's a short-term one or seemingly superficial, to encourage me to finally, put one foot back in front of the other and piece my life back together. To teach me to stack the small wins every day, no matter what. And honestly, these past 6 months have made me pretty happy in terms of swimming and chasing a goal. It's gotten me healthy and it's helped me finally give up drinking as well. But I think lastly, one of the biggest motivations is that I promised my little brother that I'd take this as far as I can. Swimming and life in general. And I've stumbled more than I care to admit. So yeah, he's not here on Earth anymore. But about, almost a decade ago now, this was one of the last promises I made to him. So I'm not just swimming for me anymore. This goal, it's not related to swimming, it's about living my life to the fullest and getting everything I can out of it. This isn't just for me, it's for both of us. And I try not to break my promises. So if that's not motivation, then I really don't know what is. I have lived so many years in the past wondering what if. And at the exact same time, I've lived so many years in the future wondering what could be. Being so afraid of what might go wrong, worried that I don't have enough time. But the truth is, worried to act or not, scared to act or not, the time is going to pass anyway. And so for the first time in my life, I am excited about what the future may hold, what might go right. And for whatever will go wrong, I am fully prepared for it and I welcome all of it. Because it's really just about that mindset, that resilient mindset. Always chasing, because you can't have the good without the bad. I can't change the past, but I can control what the future holds. And I do recognize now that that future begins today with every action I take in the present. Isn't that the journey of life we're all on? That's the joy of being human. So maybe you just see this video, or maybe you join me in this journey, whatever it becomes. But I leave you with this magnificent quote from the great Mike Mentzer, one that I believe defines this journey I'm about to embark on. Potential is only the expression of a possibility.
Something that can be assessed accurately only in retrospect. In other words, you'll never know how good you might have become unless you try. So let's get with it.
Is this going to work? If I believe for a second that it won't, then it won't. I have to believe this wholeheartedly. All I know is that it's going to take everything. So the only question I have to ask myself is, am I willing to give it everything? At this point in my life, I believe the answer is yes. So as Mike Mentzer says, let's get with it.